everyone. This is the Buttercup podcast where we talk about early childhood topics. My name is Marisa Macy, and I'm the host of the Buttercup podcast. I'm super excited today because I have Dr. Alessandra Landini. Thank you for being here today, Dr. Landini.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to see you, Marisa, and to be here with you.
Grazie. Dr. Alessandra Landini is the principal of the ICA Manzoni in Reggio Emilia with a Ph.D. in Human Sciences, thesis in Physics Education from the Department of Education and Human Sciences at the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia, and a master's degree in Organization and Management of Multicultural School Institutions from her alma mater, Bologna. She studied English at Cambridge. Her scientific education research project studies a vertical science curriculum based on storytelling and the use of metaphor between early childhood and secondary school. Her doctoral thesis examined the approach to the study of energy in primary schools and the multi-metaphoric nature of the concept of energy. Her other areas of interest range from general didactics to innovative teaching. As a general didactics expert at UNIMORE, she provides integrative teaching activities at the university. She collaborates with the Metaphor and Narrative in Science Research Center and provides teacher training on inclusive didactics as a national trainer for the Italian Dyslexia Association, also called AID. Other areas of research focus on the use of descriptive evaluation in first and second grade secondary schools and teacher training as a community of practice, with particular attention to the development of creative skills in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math, integrating school museum settings. Since 2020, Dr. Landini has been studying a vertical curriculum of heritage and citizenship with her institute, which leads teachers and students to immerse themselves in the city's territory and museum and cultural heritage. I'm so excited to have you today, Dr. Landini. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you to you for calling me, and it's a pleasure to stay here with you.
Yes. So I know you from Reggio Emilia, Italy, and it is such a pleasure to be able to talk to you today and to share you and your work with my students and with my colleagues here in America. So how did you get started in education?
It was a long time ago, really, and I was 18 when I started because I started teaching in a course for immigrants, an Italian course for immigrants when I was 18 years old. And then I have my very first experience in a kindergarten that was a wonderful experience, a private kindergarten. After that, obviously, I started attending the university, but in a very few years, I was enrolled with a full-time work in primary school as a primary school teachers. And from that period to now, it was a love affair with education issues and inclusion, special inclusion issues. And that's it. I mean, here I am.
Yes, here you are, and you do so many different things. You work at the university, you're also a school leader and a principal of a school in Reggio Emilia, which that's how I got to meet you last spring when our delegation came to Reggio Emilia, and we got to visit your school one day, and then the next day we got to come to the museum with you and see how your partnership with the Civic Museum in Reggio Emilia supports children's learning and the partnership that you have with the school. Do you want to talk a little bit about education and Reggio Emilia?
Sure. I mean, the history of education, it is something that started a long time ago because and a story made of original, fertile background very linked to the territory and its history. The roots of the educational approach, I think, of Reggio Emilia started in the post-war period, and thanks to women, because women were politically engaged in fighting for their rights and their right to work. And the history says that it was sending the pieces of tanks and pieces of armies that they had money to build the very first infant schools in Reggio Emilia. But for them, it was not only a place where to take care of their children, but a place to grow up, how can I say, not only for their health or to feed them up, but with the awareness that it had to be a place where free citizens could grow in a new democracy. And I think that this is a fresh start for an experience of education. It may seem demagogic, but it is not, because it is a community, that one of Reggio Emilia, with a big social commitment, very linked to politics, with lots of associations about solidarity. And it is a very nice scenario with a great attention to the word of childhood. And from Malaguzzi, then the idea of a competent child, the idea of a childhood that needs to be protected, valued, and the children that are capable of expressing their thoughts from very early age with their thousands of languages, and capable of creating a community with their families and friends. It is something very complex, but what you have to think is that Reggio Emilia is very famous for this experience of the Reggio Children approach, but at the same time, it is full of very important experiences also in the public schools, because I mean, we have this municipality kindergarten that are very famous, which follow this Reggio Emilia approach, but also in the other school, we are very aware of the centrality of this competent child, and we enjoy a project that is a national level, I mean the public school, and we've got programs, well-defined guidelines since 2012, recently renewed in 2018, and they represent, I think, a very important programmatic document that contains, yes, the most important assumptions of Malaguzzi's thought, but also of other Italian and foreign pedagogues. I'm thinking about Dewey and the active school of Dewey, or Brunner work about narrative thought, and as well as, for instance, Vygotsky thought and his idea of socialized learning paths, and the idea of the cultural mediation of the teacher. So it is something that is complex, but I think that there is a methodological, continuity and a pedagogical continuity among different kinds of schools that are all very inclusive, I think, and their path is more or less coherent with this idea of competent child. From this very important pedagogical point of views, I think that we are talking about the same territory that has got different but complementary kinds of schools, very rich schools from the economic point of view, the municipality schools, with lots of, great opportunities from the point of the variety of professional figures and expertise, and the public school that is, which welcome in an inclusive way all the citizenship, all the citizens, the children, but it doesn't have the same material resources. And anyway, I think that we all share methodologies and a continuity that is very coherent with the idea of this competent child. And it is anyway very important, I think, these fresh starts that link together different kinds of schools. The difference with the municipality schools in Reggio Emilia is that they have kindergartens differently from public schools that are collected in comprehensive schools from 3 to 13 years old. And so you can have a methodological continuity and an inclusive approach that ensures that your child has a coherent and continuous path, learning path in a meaningful way from 3 to 13 years old.
Grazie. Grazie, Dr. Landini. Beautiful description of the theoretical underpinnings and the history, which is so beautiful, how the mothers after World War II wanted to create something beautiful after the tragic war, and this birth of early childhood education and revolution in education circles for the families and community. Well, speaking of community, one of the neat things that you did during COVID-19 pandemic and then after is your partnership with the community, the Civic Museum in Reggio Emilia. Kind of like what happened with the World War II and how people wanted to create good things after bad things during the pandemic, the global pandemic, where the world was hurting and the health crisis changed so many things. You in your school got together with the museum, and it's such a beautiful story. You want to tell that story?
Yes, it was a gift. I mean, during a terrible period and the beginning of the school year 2020-21, we couldn't stay in our school with all our classes, with all our students because of the pandemic. And so in order to have more spaces, the municipality asked us where we wanted to go with some classes. And when they asked me where we would like to go, I asked them, I want to go to the museum with my teachers and my students. And they told me, okay, you have 2 spaces and we can give you these 2 spaces. You can live there with these 2 classes. And I asked them, no, I don't want to stay there only with my 2 classes, but I want to be there with all my school. They were astonished at the very beginning, and then they understood what was my idea. The idea was that a minimum a unit to stay and live in the museum for everyone in my institution was 1 week. And so we started with a huge administrative and communicative and pedagogical work to bring 900 more or less students for 1 year inside the museum. And the museum was closed, and so it became our place, our school. And it was unbelievable experience, and we started to plan and living the school experience at the museum for a week for every student and teacher. Believe me, represented a unique and immersive cultural experience, because it's not only a matter to be there, it is the matter of understand that. I mean, the first thing that we have told them was at the beginning of the week, okay, look, everything is here, it's yours. And this was a magic sentence, because it started in the idea that they were the owners of the heritage of the city, and also the pleasure to study it and take care of it. Obviously, it was a huge work, and we were studied from the university, by the university, and the study aim was to analyze what was the result in terms of teacher training and students' competencies as well, of course, in order to bring out some representation, significant experiences. Also, I mean, to have something to tell to the others and maybe share our experience with other teachers and institutions. So we did questionnaires and focus groups, and I mean, there is lots of materials about it. But what I would like to say is that teachers stated understand the connections between the study disciplines and the remains and the art pieces and all the content of the museums was a huge and great push to change the vision about the context of study and documentation and teaching techniques. And the results also showed that also the experts of the museums, the museum were changed in their labs, in their way to how can I say, welcome the schools. And also they appreciated this exchange with different expertise of the school. And then at the end of the year, we started with this vertical heritage curriculum, and we started with a co-planning with this expert of the museums. And in the second year of the pandemic, we bring the museum at school with what we call the delivery museum. And so we've got a very nice exhibition with an installation, I can say it in English, I don't know, and some remains and objects from the museum that stayed 15 days, 1 month in the corridor or in a huge hall of our schools. And they went there with their little books and digital cameras and to collect ideas, to analyze the remains. And so we discovered that they had some new methodologies, a new way of studying and approach cultural aspects of their lives. And so it was a very nice path, also this inside the school, and we are going on.
Yes. Well, and when you said it's a magical statement, when they said you can come to the museum, that must have been like such an exciting moment for you to dream big dreams of how to use the space and the community. And it was no small undertaking, because you had to bring all the children and their families there, transportation, because it's not right next door to your school. It's across town a little bit. I mean, you could probably, well, we did. We walked there when I was visiting you in May of 2023.
Yeah, so really our schools are in the city center of the city. So it is not very far away from, I mean, the historical center, the hardcore of the city, the cultural part of the city. So it was easier for us, of course, but not all the families are in the city center. So we planned, I mean, we prepare maps, we talked with the municipality officers, we managed to organize a school canteen inside the museum with the help of the cooperatives. Every week had a special communication with the families, with the maps, how to do this, and which routine we have prepared for their children. This year, for instance, was a new experience too, because we bring there the kindergarten children. So we bring there, we have brought there, sorry, we brought there the 5 years children. And but you know, the museum is not a context that is prepared. I mean, all the halls, I mean, all the rooms, all the collections are suitable for children of 5 years old. So we started with the museum experts, especially with Chiara Pellicciari and Riccardo Campanini, which who I like to thank because they are with me, those who believe in every crazy idea or project. And so we prepare a room for small children with small tables, small chairs. And we put some animals, not very precious ones. We put some animals on a fake grass and at the level of children. And we prepare different materials for them. So everyone was like rearranged to welcome very small children, very young children. And also this part of the project was, very rich and full of surprise, because you can't imagine at the beginning of your plan, your didactic plan, you can imagine what the children exactly will act or do, or what they will decide to show you, or which is their ideas about the objects and the rooms that you make them visit. And so it is always something new, something that accept the inconvenient, something that you can, the unexpected, I mean, and you have to start from there, I mean, the unexpected. And the result, I think, is fine, I mean, because it is something that is coherent with their needs. And if you pay attention to their questions and their needs, you will be sure that there is a learning path there.
Yes, following their lead. Allora, Ichibo, the food. I mean, you had to bring lunches at the museum during the pandemic, and I mean, so many community partners were involved in making it happen, and that it's so innovative what you did, and continue to do, because the day I was visiting you in May 2023, you guys were there for the whole week. The children were, and I'll never forget the one little boy who came up to you to show you his drawing of the giraffe. And then he was going to write a story about the giraffe. He wanted to show you how proud he was of what he was doing.
Yeah, and another aspect of this experience in the museum is, lots of museums all around the world has got unbelievable programs for children at very different levels. Ethnological collections, art collections, historical connections, ancient collections are really object of a study about didactic of museums. And it is a very important part, I think, of the work that the cultural institutions can do together with schools. What happened in Reggio Emilia, it is that it was not just a lab or a day at the museum, but it was an idea of curriculum that comes up and arrives, I mean, in our hands. The idea to build on something together and exchange experiences and expertise together with the expert of the museum. They were more aware at the end of what is a curriculum and what we need when we go to the museum, when we go at the museum and we ask for a lab. So they changes also their little plans, their programs, their labs, according to what they lived with the children there. And of course, my teachers had the possibility to see how an active approach, how using materials, how use the spaces in a more dynamic way, moving students from one room to another room, let them stand up, lay on the ground, sit on a sofa, on a pillow. I mean, they tried so much different environments that at the end, when they came back to school, they started to see their classrooms in a different way, you know, because they were so static. And they started to feel the need to move on with an idea of learning environment that was more flexible, I think.
Yes. Thank you. Grazie. Reggio Emilia is a place where people from all over the world come to visit to see the amazing education system that you have there, and also how the community embraces early childhood education, education in general, and families, and even businesses and other sectors of the community are all involved. And one of the things that we went to go do on our delegation is we went over to the Remida Center, where a lot of teachers get their materials, and it's a collaboration with the community. It's basically kind of like a recycling center, but in America, when we think of recycling centers, we think of landfills, and then if you have recycling, you take the things to the recycling center, but it's right next to the landfill and it's not very nice. But it's totally different in Italy. And the Remida is this gorgeous center where community organizations and businesses like the fashion house Max Mara bring their materials that they may otherwise not need or throw away, but they recycle it. And the teachers are able to take those materials and use them with children in the classroom. Did you want to say anything about the community aspects of education in Reggio Emilia?
Yes, it is, you know, here is the role of the municipality, of politics, of course, because thanks to the work of Malaguzzi and the work of the Reggio Children Foundation, the work and the possibility to have this community pacts, this alliance with the territory was something that grew, I think, during the years. And now we are very aware of this possibility, and also factories or other associations bring in this center their materials in order to let them become something new in the hands of children. And also for teachers, it is very important possibility, because you've got your card of your institution and you can go there and take for free everything you want, materials like buttons, I don't know, stones, and fabrics, glass, pieces of glass, pieces of marbles, or whatever you can think. It can be recycled paper, different kinds of paper, plastic, and so on. And in this way, every school can have a little atelier, an expressive atelier. Of course, in the municipality schools, they have also a special professional that is called atelierista, okay, which has got an art background and pedagogical as well, and can help teachers in this kindergarten to create very useful and expressive labs for children. But we don't have, for instance, this possibility. But anyway, our teachers can go to Remida Center and with our card of our institution can bring to school everything. And so they can use in the art labs or during their activities at school. And it is a great push to creativity and innovation also for the public schools.
Yes, thank you, grazie. And one of the things you talked about was Malaguzzi. And for my listeners who might not know what that is, it's a man. His name was Loris Malaguzzi, and he is known as the like a pioneer of the Reggio Emilia approach. And he, after World War II, along with the mothers and the grandmothers, wanted to create something beautiful after the war. And through his pioneering work and his collaboration with the community, that's kind of how this idea and approach was born. And if and when you go to Reggio Emilia, you must go see the Loris Malaguzzi International Center, because wow, is it a gorgeous place and so many exciting things to see and do there. But it's named after Loris Malaguzzi, a pioneer in the Reggio Emilia approach to early childhood education.
You're right, Marisa. And if I can add something, what we realize when we work thinking about his very important history and what he taught us is that children are always in research. So they are little researchers. And the idea is also in our schools to make visible what they are thinking and make visible their ideas, letting them producing not only problem solving, but problem posing. And this is a way to let them activate themselves, their philosophy of life. And it is important to understand our future as well.
Yes. Thank you. Grazie. So are there any practices or innovations that excite you today?
In Reggio Emilia or in general?
In Reggio Emilia or in general? Quello che vuoi.
Okay. I think that in this historical moment is very important to listen. The new innovation is probably listen to children, teenagers. I'm very worried about also the age of the secondary school, second grade. Understand them and let them find solutions that we couldn't be able to find for the planet. I think that they are better than us, and the innovation could be to use more debate inside the classrooms, to make them confident with their ideas, to let them to be creative and let them express their ideas and give them the method and the strength to be assertive and to follow their dreams. Because this is, you know, Marisa, it is a very hard period, I think, for teenagers and also for older students. And sometimes I think that there are lots of fake news around, you know, lots of ideas that are dark. And sometimes I have the impression that school is far away from them. And we need to be close to them to make them confident with reading, with the heritage, with their identities, to be inclusive, not to be too much hard with the idea of the mistakes, with this idea of to be competitive in any case, because we need to have a more empathetic and inclusive world now, and that we have to start from them. I mean, we need to be very aware of their needs and give them some help to find creative solutions to our global problems. So this it's, I think, something that it seems traditional, but I think that it is innovative, because I don't know if you think the same, but sometimes inside the classrooms, we love a lot our very comfortable traditional methodologies. And it is something that is sometimes, again, frontal, transmissive, and not very engaging. And maybe we've got from Dewey forward, I mean, Frenet, lots of very important intellectual output that can help us to motivate students and keep them inside the schools in order to find solutions for everyone.
Yes, and the exciting thing I got to see firsthand when I visited you in your school was inclusion and just all the neat ways that you helped all the kids feel so welcome. And what's neat about being able to go to new places and study schools in different countries is bringing back new ideas. And so global education and learning about what other countries and people are doing informs our own practices. And I loved getting to see your teachers working with children with disabilities. And I was so surprised that so many of the things you use in Italy are the same kinds of things that we use in America, like the picture exchange communication system with the, I got to be with some of your teachers with children with autism, and it was so neat to see just how practices are same and different, and learning from each other. And like you said, listening is so such an incredible thing that we are able to do. And a lot of times, you know, we have one mouth and two ears, and we should be listening twice as much as we talk. And well, we can learn from kids and follow their lead when we listen to what they're telling us.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree with you. And another thing that I can bring in this podcast from our experience is the idea that to have disabilities included in our curricular classes, and to have support teachers that teach a discipline, as well as the other teachers, make all the students of the classroom aware that everyone is different, everyone could have some fragilities, everyone have potentials. Everyone has potentials, and but no one has to be isolated, or is it not possible to? I mean, they feel that all the teachers are the same, support teachers and curricular teachers. They love both of them. They respect them because they work with both of them. And as well as they have all their life some disabled friends in their classrooms. And they, I think, better understand that sometimes you can have got next to you a slower person. You can have a person who needs another mean of communication. But anyway, it is someone important to you, and you have to take care of everyone in your community. I think that politics and democracy started inside the school, as Dewey says, and it is a very good gym to welcome everyone.
Yes. And John Dewey and others have talked about the importance of hands-on learning. And one of the things that you pointed out when we were there is the basketball court at your school is so famous because our American basketball player, Kobe Bryant, who sadly passed away in an airplane accident, he was a student at your school and learned to play basketball right there at your school.
Yes, we've got not only attended our school, of course, but it was always there to play basketball. And so when they renew the basketball, how can I say it in English? The basketball space, I mean, they entitled it to Kobe Bryant. It was a very, it was a students and a child in Reggio Emilia, and so we remember him as a very human, professional, and a funny person, and a very expert basketball player. So it is important also to have this presence in our institution and to share his memory with our students.
Yes, for sure. And you can tell how much the community loves him and loves the idea of family, because over by the Ramita Center, there was a street named after Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna that also sadly passed away in the airplane crash. And then the sports complex over there on that side of town is named after him. There's pictures of his dad, who was a professional athlete also in Reggio Emilia. So it's really neat to see his memory celebrated there in Reggio Emilia. And I didn't know anything about that till I came there and visited your school. And then after I left you, every place I went, I would see something like a billboard or a street named after him. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a student from Alessandra's school. What or who inspires you?
Pardon?
Where do you draw inspiration? Because you do so much. You're a principal, you work at the university, you are so busy and dedicated and committed to education. What sparks your passion? Is it someone or something that inspires you? ¿Hai capito?
Yeah, understood. I was thinking about what you asked me. The first inspiration, I think, was my teacher of primary school. Now she is 95 years old. She was
come si chiama?
Emilia Gatti.
Emilia Gatti, like cats?
Yeah, like cats. Emilia Gatti was a woman, you can imagine 95 now. So in those years, a woman, no married woman, beautiful woman, elegant woman, with a very, very complex professional life, very rich knowledges, and good perfume. and now
perfume.
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all. But I remember her perfume and how much I was fond of her. So I think that the very first seed of the love for this profession was to love her so much and understand that she was so much more than a teacher for us. And then during my life, for my personal experiences, also in the field of to welcome people from other countries, or I don't know, other experience that I have with immigrants people, I started to think that the aim, most important thing of my life could be to include and welcome people and create knowledge and the context for everyone to have space and profess and be themselves. I mean, create a space where the identities were respected and the diversities were evaluate as something very important. This is, I think, the great push for everyday routine work.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Do you have a highlight of your career so far? Something that is a memory or an event that just sticks out that is a highlight?
Yes, probably yes. Two things. One is when I won a prize the Europe International in 2017 as a Ph.D. And my work about energy. I was, a teacher with pedagogical background, and to win an award in the field of physics was something that wasn't expected. But at the same time, it was like a sign of something that was starting, and the idea that maybe interdisciplinarity and multimodal ways to approach science education was something that started to be accepted also from the scientific community, the global scientific community. So it was a very nice experience, unexpected. Another thing was to know every time that I see my old students, and I see, or my students now as a principal, and I see that they started a new path and they reach a goal. There isn't anything more important about to see them happy, and to see also those ones that you can maybe see as weak during their path, the learning path, that became wonderful human beings with the work and the family, or simply when they are happy to do what they are doing. This is, I think, the most important thing of the life.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Sí, è vero. It's so true. Seeing former students and it's brings a smile to our faces to get to see how they're doing, and when they're happy, and we just it's so rewarding to see when students come back.
Yeah, especially sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Especially when they are maybe a history of pain at school, because maybe they suffer from dyslexia or they have other psychological problems, and they started in a very hard way with primary school, and sometimes it's difficult for other teachers to understand, because sometimes teachers have some perceptions and their beliefs became stereotypes. And when you look and you see someone and you think to know everyone about this person, and you have decided what he can do or what he can't do, sometimes it is dangerous. It is dangerous because you have to think that human beings growing and having experiences and changing environments can do things that you can imagine. And you have to prepare the field for this empowerment. And I saw this in students. I saw wonderful degrees in dyslexic students with lots of pain, lots of self-consciousness about their limits in, reading and writing and so on, and then reach a wonderful degree in psychology with the maximum of the level. Okay, so we have to pay attention, to judge, and to collect stereotypes about people, because now the neuroplasticity is something that is scientific what we call something that is very well known, and so pay attention, let them space, and think about their empowerment, because they can really surprise us.
Yes. Allora, grazie mille. Thank you, Dr. Landini, for being such an inspiration and for welcoming us when we come to visit you in Italy. And I can't wait to bring back my Nebraska friends when we come to the spring delegation and learn more about Reggio Emilia and education and families and children. Thank you.
And we will be very happy to have you again, and also your colleagues. Thanks for this opportunity to share our ideas, and so I'm waiting for you.
Thank you, Alessandra. And how can listeners follow you?
I don't know. You can see my institutional website of my school, and you can find some materials about my curriculum, my QV, in my school institution website. And now I'm trying to start it with because I'm not very expert about it, but I would like to start with an Instagram page about inclusion and education. And so maybe I will let you know how they can enter in contact with me about this idea of studying together and share ideas about inclusion.
Bravissima. Yes. And they can also come to our conference session when we present at the Inclusive Museum in Vancouver, Canada. Just a little plug for our conference presentation. I'm just joking.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Landini. It is such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you to you. Thank you to you.